All right. Okay. I think we're live. I can't quite tell. Come on, YouTube. Come on. YouTube. There we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Smudcast number 128. It's that time of the month again, and we decided to cover a big one. It's Maggie Mayfish Day in November. It's all about her cats video and the weird mind of T.S. Eliot. And as you can hear from me, I'm not too enthusiastic about this suggestion. It's
whereas I am ecstatically excited for this.
Yeah, I know. We were looking at all the options. We thought, okay, this one is pretty freaking weird, so let's go with that one. Oh, it's an hour long. Fantastic. That's just wonderful way to end your day. A little bit of Maggie Mayfish makeup and acting and God knows what else. Thank you,
Looking
John.
like a crazy cat.
crazy cat dressed up lady reciting poetry. Yeah, it's amazing. Yep. So what we're going to do, I think what we're going to do is we're going to have as much fun as possible. We're going to pause as infrequently as possible, so it'll just make it go by faster. If it's really crazy, we'll talk about it, of course. Yeah. So yeah, this is all Dunn's fault, in case you don't know. But
it is my fault. I take full responsibility.
Okay. So I don't think we're going to get Shiny. I don't think we're going to get Glib or anyone else. It's just going to be Dunn and myself trying to sit through this for as long as possible. Yep. So let's get with this super chat going. John Lemley, thank you, sir. I'll catch this beautiful nightmare in its totality later. I don't even know if anyone wants to, but we're going to be here. So let's get going. So she put a lot of work into this. You can see like all these voice actors, and it looks like makeup, illustration. Sure. Yeah. So she puts effort, and that's what I like to see. The problem is the results.
Oh my gosh! In the chat, they're asking Maggie May's Fight Club video when.
Oh my god! Oh, we totally forgot about that. Oh. December, how's that? Okay, we're not doing.
Yeah, let's do that in December. Oh, Joe Crazy, just a minute. Good gosh, Smud, do you care about your mental health?
You know, I can read and watch anything. It just takes time to digest. All right.
Yeah.
That's the only
message
problem.
Coming in.
So time.
Patching it through.
Anyway, let's go. Okay.
Speaking on Eliot is a difficult matter, for he is long and gone and can't pen a rebuttal. And being a cat, should my opinion even matter? Though he made claims about us that weren't even subtle. We're white and we're black and we're medium-sized. We're three-named and blind and possess jeweled eyes. But did Eliot ask a cat how we self-identify? I am but a cat, I have but one name, and all of them mine, not for human eyes. And if Eliot so boldly laid us to claim...
Okay, is she like into like makeup or acting or being a furry? I don't, what is it? Is it just this video? Because everything she does is like creepily sexy or sexual. It's just like, oh...
Yeah, it's like Jeremy Irons in what is it, Dungeons and Dragons movie, where he makes everything sexual for some reason.
Oh god, his over the top acting, yeah. But it's creepy. It's like,
yeah, it's really, really friggin' creepy.
Yeah, WTF, my good man.
Message coming in.
All right.
Patching it through.
Allow a cat to rebuttal with my thoughts on his lies.
What are you doing? What are you...
Yeah, I have a lot to say about cats.
but I can't say that I didn't enjoy it. Somehow. Cats is a movie about anthropomorphic cat people who are constantly aroused. It's a movie about a highly stratified, very traditional feline society.
I wonder why she likes it so much. A bunch of animals who are human who are constantly aroused. Well, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, I think Nev Champion just screamed multiple exclamation points. That is gross. WTF.
Okay. I don't know what's going on here, but it looks like some sort of fascist salute.
Yeah, it does look like that. Well, at least it's they're watching a cat go out to commit suicide in an air balloon.
All right.
Which also happens to be a ritualistic death cult. Meow! It's a movie that defies visual description with uncanny computer-generated effects, bizarre body movement, and distracting camera work. So, the 2019 version of Cats is a story of a very ordered society told in the most jarring way imaginable. Spoiler alert! Although I think spoiling this movie is kind of impossible. It's like spoiling a psychedelic mushroom trip. But what little plot there is involves a group of cats coming together for something called the Jellicle Ball, which is a talent show where the winner, chosen by old Deuteronomy, will die and be reborn. Confused? Don't worry. I saw both the 1998 DVD version and the 2019 theatrical version multiple times, and I'm still confused. Cats is also based on the...
Wait. It has very little plot. It's a psychedelic trip. She's still confused, but she loves it? What is going on? How could you say that about something? That's like writing an exam, didn't know what the hell you wrote, didn't know what the exam subject was, can't remember any of the questions, but I really liked writing the exam. I was like, what? Did you study? No. Did you know what you're talking about? No. Are you specialized? I don't even know if I'm in the class, but I really like doing it. Like what?
It's a unique and terrifying experience.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, and that's why I liked it. You were confused the entire time. Yes. Like what? Wonderful film.
Well, it makes sense that she likes it because this seems right up her alley.
That says nothing of Andrew Lloyd Webber's talent or lack thereof of writing musicals or trying to understand how to write. This is like back in the 70s or 80s whenever Cats came out. I can't even recall. Oh, yeah, no, it's. I mean, I'm not a fan of Andrew Lloyd Webber, so.
It's kind of the worst popular musical of all time.
I've never seen it, so I don't know, but I'm just not a fan of his music. His music is not very inspiring to me, and some of it is fun because it's so basic and simple, but I wouldn't call it an opera. I wouldn't call it an operetta. I'd call it a musical thing. But I know musicals. I've been to stage productions. I've been to, what was the last one I saw a few years back? Kinky Boots. That was a musical. So, I mean, they're a little different than the average show. And for whatever reason, his stuff is popular and it works for New York or wherever he goes on tour. So, but Cats, I didn't care. Why would I care?
It's mainly for the dance. Dance is the main thing that people remember and like about Cats. It's not the lyrics, especially like just the weird, like psychedelic craziness of it.
It can't be for the music. I just can't imagine. I can't think of any memorable piece of sound or noise from Cats at all. Like when you think of Phantom of the Opera, yeah, I can remember a few of those songs. Les Mis, definitely I can remember a few of those songs. But the music as a whole was not very inspiring. Anyway.
Poetry of the godfather of modern poetry, T.S. Eliot. Most of the lyrics are derived from Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats, which is full of children's poetry that Eliot wrote to his younger relatives, then compiled for publication in 1939. Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats fits into a subgenre of children's book that details the physical and personality traits of different races. It does for cats what a book like Bozo and His Rocket Ship did for humans, which was published in the 40s. It assigns stereotypical cartoonish traits to various human cultures around the world. Books like this were designed to teach kids that different types of people fit into different predefined categories. Or to put it more bluntly, they're designed to teach harmful racist stereotypes to children.
Oh my god.
Meow. Which was published in the 40s.
Let's just stop on that page.
It assigns stereotypical cartoon.
They call me the wild man of Borneo, but really I'm not wild at all. I only look wild. I'm even afraid of a mouse. Take me out of here. Take me out of here. Borneo?
It's an African nation, I think.
Yeah, it's not. How is this a racist bad thing? It's poetry.
It's. I think maybe it's just because it's like they're stereotyping people of Borneo as or a guy from Borneo as a wild dude. The thing is, like, he's not a wild dude in the
It has to be simple for kids though, so you have to make it simple and fun and easy to read. And all he's saying is, I'm not wild at all. I'm just like you. Like that's good. You're just like everyone else. That's great. That's the opposite of racism. That's like saying, no. Even though I look like this, I'm not really like this. I'm like you. That's all it is. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Traits to various human cultures around the world. Books like this were designed to teach kids that different types of people fit into different predefined categories. Or to put it more bluntly, they're designed to teach harmful racist stereotypes to children. Meow. Speaking of old school racism and institutionalized violence, T.S. Eliot also happened to be a fascist sympathizer.
Oh no.
He did reject the label fascist, but don't get me wrong, he didn't reject fascism in favor of anti-fascism. Instead,
Wait. You're trying to tell me T.S. Eliot was a fascist, even though he never said he was, but because he never was against it? What?
That's a horrifying mentality where it's like you're either with us or against us.
It's like, well, you're not
against this.
Yeah, you're not against rape because you didn't say so. It's like, do I have to? Like, what kind of crazy society do you live in, lady?
It should be kind of just obvious that fascism is bad because, buddy.
What? Holy crap. Are you against racism? It's like, yeah, but well, why didn't you say so? It's like, you never asked. Like, why should I? What's happening?
Eliot labeled himself a royalist. He was a devout Christian and identified as Anglo-Catholic, which is an ultra-conservative movement that...
Oh my God. Catholicism is an ultra... Are you retarded?
Yes.
That's like saying I'm South African and it's a highly right-wing group. Like, what? I believe in Buddha. Oh, that's an ultra-right-wing, old-school mentality. Part of the Orient. Oh, we don't call Chinese people part of the Orient anymore or something. Like, what the hell?
Argued for the supreme authority of the Church of England. Eliot did not believe in the separation of church and state, but rather the superiority of the church over the state. Between his royalism...
In what context?
What?
What are you talking about? You can't just say he believes that the church is greater than the state. Okay, sure. How? God? Yeah. Most people who believe in God believe God is pretty much more powerful than anything else. What's wrong with that? I don't get the... Are you talking about politics? Is there a theocracy in England at the time? I don't think so. There was,
yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, there was Catholicism.
Pretty much turned away from like the Christian, the mainstream Christianity, which at the time was Catholicism in the time of Mr. Henry VIII when he said, "I am the Church of England,"
Right.
sawed off.
Plus, there was all different flavors. There was Lutheranism, there was Protestantism, or whatever you want to call the flavors of Christianity. So, I mean, there's a lot of things to unpack there. You can't just say, well, the church is bigger than the government. Again, to lots of people, that's true. They believe in God more than they believe in their government. So what's wrong with that? I just don't understand where she's going. Like, you're just dropping, oh yeah, T.S. Eliot was a right-winger, fascist, religious person who was theocratic in nature. Like, maybe, I don't know.
I do not.
Anglican faith, Eliot believes that kings are literally chosen by God to lead a country. In Eliot's brand,
well, yeah, that's called the divine right of kings. That's what they believed back in the day.
Standard practice.
Yeah,
it was standard practice back in the day.
I mean, maybe some religious people still believe that. I don't know, but okay. Again, give us a quote.
I doubt that. We've gotten into the postmodernist era where most people just don't believe even
message coming
anymore.
Well,
patching it through.
I don't mind that they're religious or they're this or that. I don't like that. Doesn't bother me. But she's saying like he believes in the divine right of kings. Like from what, the medieval period, current year? Like what are you talking about? Give us some details. Like holy, there we go. Joe Crazy. Andrew Lloyd Webber. Sorry. The first time I heard that name was a dumb joke from the Ghost Stories anime. Really? Oh boy, I don't remember that at all. But I did see a few of his musicals, so, and they weren't that bad. I just don't like his music. Again, I don't like his music as a whole. He has one or two songs that are catchy and nice and simple, but that's it.
And of royalist thinking, the body of the king represents both the human manifestation of God on earth and the personification of the state. The king the head of the state to the metaphorical body politic.
Yeah.
Even today, the British monarch holds the title of Supreme Governor of the Church of England.
That's good.
Okay, this is...
So she's referring to the Leviathan book, which is a good book.
That's fine.
Interesting. It's a good thing about political theory, but nobody believes in it anymore.
Yeah, and this example, she's talking about the queen being the head of the state, the head of the church. Like, this is a purely symbolic job nowadays. It's just a figurehead. She has no real... She can't change the church. She can't change the body or politic. She can't change the parliament. She can't change the House of Lords. She's just this person who understands the empire is gone and she's part of an old dynasty, and it's purely symbolic. Yes, there is some romanticization of the royals. There always has been. The same in Japan, the same in Morocco, the same in all the other old monarchical, old style countries. We get it, but they're largely symbolic. It's just ritual. It's just pomp and circumstance.
Yeah. And most of the kings in this day and age are in third world countries.
Yeah,
that's pretty much all that monarchy is relegated to.
Plus,
first world countries have moved on.
Plus, I've never really heard any arguments about the validity or importance of monarchy or value therein in comparison to democracy or other flavors of republicanism or parliamentarianism or all these other current year flavors that we have. That's a great discussion, but not for this kind of video. And this is just really like, why are you bringing up the Queen? Come on. Like, what are you doing?
Why are you talking about the divine right of kings in a video about cats?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's padding.
And the canon law of the Church of England states,
we acknowledge that the Queen's most excellent majesty, acting according to the laws of the realm, is the highest power under God in this kingdom and has supreme authority over all persons in all causes, as well ecclesiastical as civil.
And here in America...
Okay, where is that from? When was that made? How is that authorized? And who enforces it?
And
please tell us.
Is it still valid to this day? Because I don't think it is.
No, it's not. It's the only thing that I know about the Queen in relation to Canada, for example, is we have a general or a governor general who, whenever there's a problem with Parliament, we assign it to her, and she calls up the Queen and says, hey, we're going to prorogue Parliament, or hey, we have a a problem with our prime minister. What do we do? That's like, and what are they going to do? It's like, yeah, go ahead, do it. Pretty much anything the PM wants, the Queen goes, yeah, sure, whatever, do it. And if she says no, what is she going to do? Nothing. She has no authority in Canada. It's a symbolic gesture. She just happens to be the highest rung on the totem pole, which with no power. It's silly.
Yep.
A terrifying and indisputable rise in royalism and Christian dominionism. The idea
Christian dominionism? Is that a thing?
I don't think it is. Let's roll that back a little bit, since there's like a newsstand item or something.
Causes, as well ecclesiastical as civil.
And here in America, there is a terrifying and indisputable rise in royalism and Christian
Philip who asks God to give Christian...
The idea...
I don't even know what that means.
Causes, as well ecclesiastical as civil.
And here in America, there is a terrifying and indisputable rise in royalism and...
Okay. Ask God to give Christian conservatives control over the Triple Crown of government. The Triple Crown, does that mean...
Senate, Assembly, Presidency?
Senate, not
Supreme
in...
Court.
Oh, wait, that's Trump. So yeah, that would be America, yeah. So yeah, it would be the upper, lower house, and the presidency, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Or the White House, rather. Okay.
Yeah.
Christian dominionism. The idea of democracy offended T.S. Eliot, since democracy implies that everyone has basic human rights, and...
No.
No,
that's not
everybody
the
just
definition
gets a
of
voice.
democracy.
There's a difference.
That's really not the definition of democracy, lady. Oh my goodness.
That everyone deserves a say in politics. He was a big fan of Charles Murris, the anti-Semitic, anti-parliamentist philosopher, who happens to be a hero of Steve Bannon. Eliot was also
Right.
buddies
What?
with countless
Message
awful
coming in.
people, like Wyndham
Patching
Lewis,
it through.
who described Hitler as a man of peace. Of course, Eliot wasn't just
Hitler
a fan of
fooled a lot of
anti-Semites, he was
people.
also a vocal anti-Semite himself, often
Holy, she likes anti-Semitism all of a sudden. Isn't Cats a great musical, guys? I love it. Oh.
This went from weird furry makeup with strange things happening to conversation about anti-Semitism.
Come on, guys. Religion and the Queen are essential in understanding cats. Yeah, of course. It's fantastic. Oh, God. This is like Renegade Cut on drugs. It's like, Renegade Cut just had a whole bottle of whiskey. He's like, all right, I'm going to make a video about cats. And he's just like, oh, anti-Semitism, that's a good topic. Yeah. Divine Right of Kings, let's talk about that. Holy jeez.
Oh, my goodness. This is insane.
Sound like it could have been pulled straight from a Richard Spencer blog post. In his lecture series, After Strange Gods, he outlined what he thought was the right way to organize society, that being a bunch of ethno-nationalist states where race mixing is not allowed, and everyone is segregated by race and religion.
The population should be homogeneous. Where two or more cultures exist in the same place, they are likely either to be fiercely self-conscious or both to become adulterate. What is still more important is unity of religious background, and reasons of race and religion combine to make any large number of free-thinking Jews undesirable.
And on whether he'd be okay with those ethno-states tolerating one another, he continues.
A spirit of excessive tolerance is to be deprecated.
When it comes to bigotry, Eliot showed what we in the 21st century would call his whole ass. In Eliot's worldview, you are merely a cell within the larger organism that is the king's body, that we call society. And if that body gets sick, how does royalism respond? Well, in 1988, Prince Philip, husband of Queen Elizabeth, said this: "In the event that I am reincarnated, I would like to return as a deadly virus, to contribute something to solving overpopulation." Royalism's end goal will always be for the king to hold the power. Democracy's end goal is for the people to hold the power. Fascism uses the mass appeal of a popular movement like democracy to achieve its end goal of a dictator holding power.
Oh
Fascism
my
is just
God.
royalism with a little thing we millennials like to call a rebrand.
Did you catch that, guys?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Trump's a fascist. It's just like, really?
Yeah.
I kind of, the worst that he's done is just enforce the law with regards to borders.
He enforced borders. He increased.
Scream like a maniac.
Yeah.
Scream like a maniac on Twitter.
Yeah. He creates and drops tariffs all the time. What else does he do? He lowered taxes once. I remember that. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
What else did he do? I can't remember anything notable in relation to doing something over the top. It's maybe spending some money. I don't know.
Golf.
I don't know the rules for presidents exactly.
Played a lot of golf. I'm joking.
Yeah, okay.
A rebrand. Love a good rebrand. The overlap between royalism and fascist-leaning conservatives in the United States has been present in conservative propaganda since forever.
So, I don't... What? Something about conservative propaganda. I was like, what? Okay.
I don't think that many Americans want monarchy to return. I think we like it the way it is.
I think the whole idea behind America was to escape monarchy. How did this happen? How did we get into this conversation about cats? Oh my God. Andrew Lloyd Webber, you bastard. You write this horrible musical. Now she's this crazy interpreter is like, oh, fascism.
Fascism. Must accept the end.
From Donald Trump joking about never stepping down for the presidency to Liberty Hangout, the group that Gun Girl is a part of, tweeting this.
It is far more preferable to live under a monarchy than a democracy. Democracy is mob rule of the government estate and is a soft form of communism.
Well, I mean, that's a very extreme interpretation of democracy, but it's not incorrect. Democracy is essentially mob rule. So when you talk about
because the most popular vote.
Yeah, when you talk about a constitution or a republic, that's democracy with a set of laws. So pure democracy is a mob rule. And people tend to, throw around the term democracy a lot, this holy, sacred thing. And yeah, it is a wonderful thing in a certain limit, in a certain context. You can't just say democracy as a whole. So there's nothing wrong with what she said here. And she's not trying to subvert the concept of, oh dear, got some bot in the, we just fix that.
I had to do it.
Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Anyway, there are plenty of arguments to be made about why democracy is bad, and this has been going on for thousands of years, ever since Plato defined his 5 regimes. And democracy was the second lowest one, next to despotism, which is nothing, which is just random chaos. Okay, this person's back in the chat again. All right.
Oh no, we're getting that bot. Oh, come on.
All right. Hopefully that... All right. Let me get back to paying attention to what I'm trying to say. There's plenty of arguments to be made about democracy being very low on the ladder of governments based off virtue or a well-functioning government. So I love it when people take the piss out of democracy or conservatism or liberalism.
Oh my gosh, they're back!
Oh. All right. That's a thing. I don't know why we're getting raided by bots, but we are. I wonder if other channels are like that. Anyway, what I was trying to say is democracy is usually seen in a bad light in a philosophical context under the topic of politics, and taking the piss out of it is always great. And there's always a great conversation and argument to be had for what is the ideal form of government. So I don't mind. Doesn't bother me.
Oh my gosh, another one?
Wow.
Are you kidding me? Now you just need to make somebody a mod in the chat.
Yeah, does anyone want to be a mod so you can just destroy all the bots? Anyway, let's just continue. Obviously, being the kind of character that Maggie Mayfish is, democracy is very important, and any interpretation attacking it is bad.
To the dedication in Ann Coulter's 1998 book, High Crimes and Misdemeanors, The Case Against Bill Clinton, where she writes,
For my parents, who see virtues in the British system.
Okay. In today's political terms, Eliot would have aligned with the Christian far right, have a photo of Thanos on his Twitter, and his own weekly column in Quill.
Oh, Thanos on his Twitter? What the? What the fuck just wrong?
I don't know.
Character, what is it?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Like conservative Christian far right. What does Thanos have to do with the Christian right?
Or politics, for that matter. I don't get it. I've never even seen the film, but I assume having an omnipotent being is kind of beyond the concept of politics. So
let's why don't we back up a little bit just to make sure that we haven't taken it out of context.
Oh boy.
Coulter's 1998 book, High Crimes and Misdemeanors, The Case Against Bill Clinton, where she writes,
For my parents, who see virtues in the British system.
Okay. In today's political terms, Eliot would have aligned with the Christian far right, have a photo of Thanos on his Twitter, and his own weekly column in Quillette where he'd compare celebrity skull shapes. Yes, Eliot may have wanted a king rather than a fascist dictator, but whether you call your tyrant Your Majesty, or Mein Führer, or Queen Mom, what difference does it make to the people who are repressed by that regime? So it's no coincidence that...
How about being oppressed by democracy? How's that any different than an oligarchy?
Yeah.
The same argument.
Oh my gosh.
Oh boy. Let's keep on going. We're getting destroyed by bots here in the chat, guys. Sorry about that.
Cats can tell a hell of a lot of fascist imagery and ideology, but like, for kids. To start, let's compare Cats to Umberto Eco's essay, Fascism, where he laid out 14 properties associated with fascist ideology. He argues that only one of these features need to be present for fascism to thrive. Most obviously, there's the whole death cult thing, where death is ritualized and glorified with the promise of rebirth. Fascist leaders...
Okay, we're actually getting to the topic of cats. Oh my god. For like 3 seconds. Thank you.
Really? Cats is... fascist?
Because of a death cult? The theme of a death cult, or the instance of a death cult, or whatever. Being reborn. Okay, yeah, it's kind of similar, I guess. That's fine.
encourage the masses to seek out death through military service or stochastic terrorism. Very fashy. There's the cult of tradition as a means of denying progress in favor of reinforcing old power structures. Instead of using the scientific method to discover new knowledge or using rational thought to arrive at reasonable conclusions, the cult of tradition demands that you look back to the past for all the answers.
Hell's happening in chat?
The Andy Griffith Show? What the hell is she talking about? Oh,
let's back up a bit. Hi, Shiny.
Hi, Shiny.
I just put my little head in on stream, and all of a sudden I just see a bunch of spam.
Yeah, we've been attacked by bots like you would not believe.
Yeah, it's like 5 or 6 times now, maybe 7.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Fuck.
I just keep reporting and blocking. Oh, Glib's in there. Thanks, Glib.
We're talking about Maggie May Fish's talk about how Cats is fascist, and she spent the last few minutes talking about the American conservatives being basically royalists.
All right.
I'm not sure I want to go through this video.
No, I know you don't. I'm quite sure no one does, but I'm just. She made a point. There's a death cult in cats. You're right. Oh my God, it's totally true. And it took her 8 minutes to get there, but yeah.
Message coming in. Patching it through.
Joe Crazy.
Oh, I just realized Block is called Hide Users on this channel. What a really fucking weird name.
Oh.
So just call it Block.
We just got
just call it Block. It makes it much more easier.
We got a super chat from Joe Crazy that's fairly relevant, I think.
Okay, so what Fish is trying to say is that Cats is a pro-fascist, pro-monarchy, fundamentalist Christian propaganda. I don't think so.
It's just a weird acid trip.
I don't know. She didn't connect the dots yet. She just only mentioned the death cult. And I was like, that's something. Thank you. And she showed 2 seconds of it. And then she went back to Umberto Eco. Everyone loves quoting Umberto Eco because he is like the be-all, end-all when it comes to talking about fascism. It's like, yay.
To Umberto.
There can be no advancement of learning. Truth has already been spelled out once and for all, and we can only keep interpreting its obscure message.
Much like the Jellicle Ball, whose message is, if anything, obscure. There's popular elitism, which argues that we, the people, are the chosen people.
I believe you truly are a Jellicle cat.
Ah, yes, the Jellicle cats.
Yeah, but that's an individual, not everyone. So, no. I don't think that would be elitist because it's an individual.
Much more important than all of the other cats. We also see the characterization of old Deuteronomy as the patriarch. Or in the case of the movie, it's a matriarch, but with exactly the same position, power, and assumption of absolute privilege.
Oh, how dare she mentioned one of the cats is an old female. Oh, it's the same thing as patriarch. It's like, okay, whatever.
And we get to see weird Judi Dench's face that's pasted onto another dancer's face, because I doubt that Judi Dench can move her leg up like that.
I doubt so too, yeah.
Am I saying that Cats is inherently fascist? No.
Wait, you're not saying it's fascist? Then why the hell are you talking about it for 10 minutes?
Saying that Tom Hooper, the director of the 2019 Cats, is a fascist? No. Am I saying Andrew Lloyd Webber, the composer and producer of Cats, is a fascist? No. At least not provably. I am saying that both versions of Cats are based on writings by an extreme big...
What just happened?
Oh, so what she said was...
What did you say?
Probably. Tom Hooper, the director of the film,
called the Queen a fascist. She literally has no fucking power in the UK. How is she a fascist?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure. Also,
She's fucking dumb.
She asks, like, is Tom Hooper, the director of the film, a fascist? Is Eliot a fascist? Is Andrew Lloyd Webber a fascist? No, at least not provably. She's just like, what is wrong with you, woman? Fascism is kind of dead. Like, there's
we're just drowning in fascism right now. Just all this fascism. Despite that, I don't think anyone knows what fascism means anymore. Because it used to have a definition.
Well, they keep quoting Umberto Eco and expect everyone to like know what this essay means and his life story and how he knows all the permutations and criteria that causes fascism to thrive. And it's like, yeah, okay, great, yeah.
God, these fuckers don't ever give up, do they, in chat?
No.
So, Shiny, you ready for bits of this?
I'm not watching it. I just jumped in like, wait, what did you just say? Excuse me? You couldn't make me watch that video.
Yeah, I know.
I'm more concerned what the hell's going on in chat because I was going to go downstairs. I was going to make myself a very nice sandwich, and then some fucker in chat decided, oh, I'm going to be a fuckwit.
An extreme and elements of his bigotry and his
how many accounts does this person have to just keep spamming this shit?
And therefore the film. The original poems contain child-friendly, sanitized versions of Eliot's beliefs, and the play and the musical sanitize them even further, even if they're unrecognizable at first glance.
More importantly for us, the audience, is it okay to enjoy cats, considering it's probably...
What do you mean it's okay? It's not okay? Like, what?
Problematic elements? It's not problematic, it's just weird. There's a difference.
Is she like the morality police? It's like, oh, you're fashy if you like cats. Like, why? How? What is silly? You don't watch any other like psychedelic film and go, is it okay? Can I watch this? Am I not a bad person? Like, what do you? It's a freaking film. You're not committing genocide.
Shiny has fled.
Oh dear.
Really wise.
Dramatic origin, the fashy ideas behind it. Well, first off, a lot of the songs fucking slap, and that is always good. But what I really like about Cats, the stage musical, despite its fascist-inspired origins and its weirdly ritualized death cult, is watching these incredible dancers, actors, and singers come together in a performance that celebrates the human body and what it's capable of feels really liberating. It's an example of content being in conflict with style.
No, there's no conflict. That's the content. That is exactly the point. It's a dance musical.
Yeah.
Where's the conflict? I don't get it.
Style of the original stage play was already at direct odds with Eliot's fashy ideas, and I loved it.
God.
And now the 2019 version, Eliot's fashy ideas are yet another step removed. This time, extra removed, thanks to the hyper-alienating CGI and bad costumes. The result is a movie so abstracted, so inane, so unrelatable. It's a kind of accidental parody of those same fascist beliefs. And
how the flying crap is Cats an accidental parody of fascism?
I don't know. I don't know what is going on.
What the hell are you talking about, lady?
Apparently inane nonsense.
How did you get to that conclusion? Is there some political structure or hierarchy in the Cats? Like there's the older cats that are the oligarchy or something? Or the dictator? Like what are you talking about?
We're back again.
Oh dear. Tyler Preston, is Maggie projecting her own experience to the film? I I don't think this is projection.
Message coming in. Patching it through.
I'm not even sure what to call it. I think she's just confused. Or
yeah, it's like
I mean, I'm confused.
Fran Madraki asked, how do you make an accidental parody? I don't know. I guess just right. Said that like Marvel movies are accidental parodies of the genre just because they have bathos. Guess.
Yeah, but it's like someone makes an observation like, oh, this is clearly a parody of X, but it's accidental, so the guy wasn't intending to do that. But in the back of his subconsciously, when he was writing the script and directing it, that's what he wanted. You're thinking, oh, that's weird. I've never heard of that. Can you give me an example of how that's done? Because I don't think that's what artists do. They don't have this big ulterior motive they're not aware of the entire production. Joe Crazy. Maggie's head. Cats equals Third Reich.
Apparently.
I don't think so. I think it's a parody of the Third Reich. I don't know. I'm confused.
It's weird. At least you've gotten through 10 minutes in an hour, so...
Message coming in.
Okay.
Patching it through.
Movie to watch when you're coming down from a mushroom trip. Or maybe the worst. I'll get back to you on that. This liberating feeling that I get from Cats emerges from that conflict between the original source material and the 1998 play version. The tension between the play's stuffy, fascist origin...
Oh, fuck off. Just fuck off. This is retarded. She was doing so well. I like it because it reminds me of the old one and the differences. But the old one had fascist... It's like shut up. Shut your mouth. You're an idiot.
Dang, you're getting mad.
It's one thing just to talk about this than to say, oh yeah, it reminds me of X and Y and they're the same because they're apples and apples. But the other apple, that has fascism, is it? You're like, no, shut up. I may as well call you a rapist and say, I like Dunn's first book, but the second book reminded me of when he was a rapist when he was 14. I was like, wait a second, that's retarded. No one would ever say that.
Agreed.
It's so insulting. As much as I don't like Andrew Lloyd Webber or T.S. Eliot's a genius. His poetry is amazing. I don't care about his political beliefs. I don't care what he thought about God and religion and this. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. She is judging T.S. Eliot, who wrote a book for kids which inspired Andrew Lloyd Webber to make a musical, which inspired another movie and another movie. And somehow, through this connection of artistry, because T.S. Eliot had some 300-year-old ideas, it's causing her to act like a goddamn self-entitled first-world brat, insulting a film from 40 years ago or whatever, or a musical from 40 years ago.
Yeah, and it's a weird musical, too.
It is. I'm not saying I like it or it's good, but get your goddamn facts right, you retard.
And the kinetic dancing that celebrates the human body. And I am legally allowed to speak on this because I got an A+ in modern dance class, which...
You're legally allowed? What the hell does that mean? Does someone prevent you from talking about it? Is there I don't know, did someone put you in jail and then now you're free to say words? Is there an NDA you're free from? That's would be legally allowed to say things, you retard. You can't just use words. There is no law unless you're talking about, I don't know, a slap order or something.
It's one of the reasons why a lot of people hate H.P. Lovecraft's books without kind of assessing them as works of quality horror.
It's sad. We don't care what his... It's the same with Isaac Newton. I don't care that he wrote most of his work was about God and the afterlife and the heavens and this and that. It's crazy. I don't care. But the 20% of the stuff that he did write was about physics, and he was a goddamn genius. He had more insight into the universe than any other person alive. That's what we pay attention to. And even if we do focus on the other stuff, we wouldn't criticize him for his crazy physics ideas, because it has nothing to do with the other. They're two different things. If Hitler was an amazing artist, we'd criticize his work and say, wow, what a great painting. It's so beautiful. It has this and that. We wouldn't care about his politics and what he did in his professional life or whatever.
Oh, dear.
Anyway, Joe Crazy, thanks again. Oh, God, I just realized this video is far from over. I know. And she's already pissed me off because people like this should not command this. And look at how many likes this is. It's as if people aren't thinking when they watch this crap.
Message coming in.
It's some sort of political masturbation or something. I don't know. Like, what is the appeal of Maggie Mae Fish aside from being crazy and a passionate actress or whatever? It's nonsense. And this is the same argument we can make for, I don't know, Xander Hall or whatever those left wing or even right wing people on YouTube. Actually, no, I'd say some right wingers are pretty sane. There are some crazy ones, but most of the ones, like the popular ones, aren't. They're very sane, or they're for comedy reasons. And I mean, you can at least respect what they have to say, as opposed to making shit up and having these bizarre arguments of calling people this or that. Like Andrew Lloyd Webber made a fascist musical? No, I'm sorry, that's retarded.
Yeah, that is.
There's lots of criticisms I have for Andrew Lloyd Webber. That is never one of them, and no one has ever said that.
Well, she said that Tim Burton is a racist and white supremacist in her Tim Burton video, so...
I think we've accepted that the left-leaning mentality is to accuse people of all these silly little things. But because you're talking about politics, and it's such an obscure term that these people don't get, and this is the word. The F word is, the new F word is fascism this past 5 years. It's such, it just shows how dumb and insular and retarded these people are thinking. And I hate to be so condescending and name calling, but what else can I say? There's no other logical deduction I can come to aside from them being overtly biased and politically minded to push an agenda. And she says it like she's acting, like this is just normal. This is commonplace. And if that's the case, what a horrible place to talk to people in. That this is where they come. How could you possibly have a normal conversation with these folks? Anyway, Andrew Clark, the voices in Dunn's dungeon are getting loud. Where do you think he gets his ideas for writing? What do you...
Yeah. Oh, I remember. Oh, Drunken Mumble said, I remember some video claimed that Maggie and Patrick H. Williams were the best content creator on that graced YouTube. I laughed myself unconscious. Oh.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think we're going to get past 20 minutes, but let's just see how crazy this gets.
This was a prerequisite, and yes, was the only dance class that I took in college. So, there's two reasons why I love the dancing. First, I love the dancing and the body language for its own sake. Body language is heavily policed in our society. Restricting our body language is one of the first ways that we're conditioned by society to behave, to fit in, and to signify our class. Many of the first rules that we learn as children dictate the way we sit, stand, and move through the room. You're told to sit still, and not just told to sit still.
What the fuck is she talking about? Ballet is how we learn body language? What?
I don't know. Don't know. I'm scared.
What is she going on about?
And this is the first 10 minutes. There's going to be even more.
I don't get it. No one studies ballet as a child unless your parents throw you into it. I've seen ballets as a child.
Like
yeah, I've seen. I don't know if anyone's gone to a ballet. I've gone to a ballet of Taming of the Shrew when I was about, I don't know, 9 or 10. I haven't gone to the Sugar Plum Fairy or, sorry, what's the Christmas one? It's a very famous Christmas.
Nutcracker?
Nutcracker. There you
Nutcracker?
go. Never gone to that. Happens every year. Never gone. But
I was forced to watch a lot of ballet performances because my sisters are in ballet.
Oh, okay, there you go.
I hate ballet performances.
Yeah, it's not for everyone.
So boring.
Yeah, no, it is pretty. Modern dances drives me insane. Like, that is crazy. But ballet itself, I can respect. I don't like it, but I respect it. I don't think that was ever a common study for people in grade school. I really don't think so. And nor were we ever expected to understand body mechanics or whatever, like walking and talking by watching ballet. That's like saying you have to learn how to speak to people by listening to opera or something. It's like, no.
But how to spell? Every aspect of our body language gets critiqued, not only by adults, but by our peers too. Even the way that you throw a ball can be characterized as throwing like a girl. We assign gender markers.
Gee, I wonder why.
Because girls have weaker arms naturally than guys.
I just like, are you like, you can't be this daft. It's just like,
insane.
Have you ever seen a girl throw a ball and then you watch MLB? Like, come on. There's a big difference when a professional does it. And growing up, we could all tell the difference. No offense to the ladies, that's just humanity. That's just growing up, okay? And there were some girls who didn't throw like girls, who were athletic, and they knew how to throw a ball or spike a volleyball. I knew some girls I grew up with which were really good at volleyball. They were better at serving than I was, and I was pretty good at volleyball. So,
message coming in.
It's just like,
Patching
what do you?
it through.
Like, oh my god. Joe Crazy. We communicate through body language. You bint. There we go. The bint. I love that word. Heavily policed. Get out of here with that nonsense. Yeah, we heavily police people and how they walk. If you don't walk along the straight line, you're going to jail.
Yeah, I think I found a good one. How old is Maggie? She went to university, ? WTF is her major malfunction, and the bots are back.
Yeah.
Markers to action have nothing to do with our gender, and then we restrict those actions to specific groups. What we're allowed to express with our body language depends on our status in society.
Are you retarded? What the hell does his status in society have anything to do with their body language? What is the rich walking down the street to have anything to do with the poor walking down the street?
I don't know.
Is it being proud? Is it being safe? Is it being relaxed? Having good health to have 2 strong legs? Like, what do you... I don't get it.
Even the way that we look at one can be considered offensive. Just think back to when you were a kid and adults would threaten you, "Don't you dare give me that look." The cat's fluid, expressive body movements break free from those constraints. Can be considered offensive. Just think back to when you were a kid and adults would threaten you, "Don't you dare give me that look." The cat's...
Wait. Physical expressions or body language? What? An emotion is body language?
It makes no sense.
Don't you give me that look is an expression of an emotion. I'm not saying body language isn't, but you're talking about walking and dancing. And now suddenly we jump to facial expressions? Does she not know what facial expressions are? This is dumb.
Strange.
I mean, usually she's crazy, but this is just retarded dumb.
Yeah, it is really bad.
Usually it's funny because she's so off the wall, but this is just like, ooh, she's interpreting childhood as body language when you make a face, or you're being a stubborn kid because you're not getting your way, which is like every child every 10 seconds. So, I mean, what is she trying to say though? Cats is free of this, I guess, because they're cats.
Fluid, expressive body movements break free from those constraints. Their bodies become a means of expressing emotion rather than an object that contains our emotions.
Yeah, that's what dance is. Wait. Let me just rewind. What the hell?
The cat's fluid, expressive body movements break free from those constraints. Their bodies become a means of expressing emotion rather than an object that contains our emotions.
Okay. So bodies can contain and express emotion. I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm also not saying that's a dichotomy. So, nor are they opposites. What?
I don't get it. This makes no sense.
What is she trying to say?
And that's kind of what I love about dance in general. In fact, the reason...
Okay, so you like Cats just because it's a dancing movie? Is that it?
Guess so.
That's all I get from it. That's all she said. I like Cats because it has music and dance. It's like, all right, okay, fine. Just say that. And then go into what dance you like for whatever technical reason if you know dancing. But it doesn't look like she does. Unless she's legally obligated to say she can because she took one course or one elective at university. Like, oh.
Oh, good.
Joe Crazy,
Awesome.
Maggie, sweetheart, that's just parents telling their kids to cut the attitude. Yeah, that's pretty common in child rearing. So,
don't give me that look. I got that when I was a missionary. My mission president told me, Dunn, Elder Dunn, stop doing that.
Message coming in.
It's inappropriate. Stop it.
Yeah, exactly. This is like any group, any child is a part of, where there's an adult or someone senior. I was a Boy Scout. I was teaching my younger wolf cubs to, to not act around, not stand, jump around, stand still, talk when listen, like basic stuff. That's what you do. You teach younger people how to behave. It's all it is. Basic, easy.
that I got an A in my modern dance class was because I had no formal dance training. Other students who had grown up perfecting ballet poses and difficult tap dancing configurations had a lot of trouble unlearning those more rigid body movements. I had no trouble because I was terrible at regular dancing. So terrible, in fact, that I was laughed out of the department's general audition a month before. This modern dance class was the first time I didn't feel like a total failure because I hadn't attended a private arts high school.
So you went to a class that was too hard, and then you went to an easier one, and then you felt better. Is that what you're saying? It was too hard for you?
I think so. Yeah, that's the best we're going to get out of this.
I mean, that's a typical story. I've heard lots of stories where people go to like a streamlined program and then they can learn better or do better. That's fine. I mean, it's not a big deal. But don't really care. I mean, it's a nice story and all, but I don't care, Maggie.
Yeah. I kind of want a book. I want a movie about the life of Maggie May Fish. I think it would be interesting to watch.
Oh, God, like, what's his name? Who wrote a book about himself in college? Hello, Greedo?
Oh, Greedo. I was thinking Onision, but Hello, Greedo, yeah, that works.
Oh, God.
I did, however, play a lot of sports in high school, and my modern dance teacher effing loved it.
You played sports. You did.
Oh, crap.
What sport? Like ping pong? What would you play? Think about it. What the hell sport would she play? Not baseball, not football, not soccer. Volleyball, maybe. I mean, volleyball is not that intensive, but it's still pretty fast. Like, you have to be on the ball. Yeah, I can't think of any others.
Yeah. Press X to doubt.
Our teacher would be like, move across the floor any way you want. And that freedom was difficult for a lot of people to deal with, since this was supposed to be a dance class. It was honestly just pure luck that our teacher loved my skinny chicken arms and that I couldn't pirouette to save my life. But she was a brilliant modern dance teacher who instilled in me this idea of unlearning the right way to move, the right way to be, and learning that
there is a right way to pirouette. There is a right way to dance a certain style. That's why you have dance classes. It sounds like this teacher was like, yeah, just do whatever the freaking hell you want on the. It's like, okay. She's one of those really what's the word like the 70s flower power era. Just be free and express yourself and go to this end of the room in any way you want. It's like, okay, I mean, I could walk there. Everyone's a winner. Just get to the end of the room and dance from A to B.
Here's your participation trophy. Yeah. Enjoy it.
Of course you're going to enjoy a program where you can do whatever you like by walking. Wow, you're amazing.
That every muscle, every gesture, no matter how unconventional, could be used to express something. Modern dance offers a type
Modern dance is a... Oh, God, how much I hate modern dance, as I said before. And I have seen it in Toronto. We have this, what's it called? The Harbourfront Centre. It's right on the lakeshore, and they have a dance theater there. And as a kid, I didn't like it. As a young adult, I didn't like it. I just did not like modern dance. It's not for everyone. I've met dancers; they're great people, but it's just so weird. And I like ballet. Ballet is cool. I just don't want to watch ballets unless it's because when you have Taming of the Shrew as a background, right? You're like, okay, I know the plot of Taming of the Shrew. I know the acts. I know what's happening, and I can interpret what's happening because they have sentences up on the screen. So I know, oh, this is this scene. I love this play, and here's a nice little rendition of that in dance format. I like it. But you give me a play I don't know, which is ballet or what have you, I'm lost. I can't understand it. So, not to say it's not attractive, because again, these people are very powerful. The women are very, not petite, but just you can see how strong their legs are. And
graceful.
It is, yeah, you have to train so you can respect it. You don't have to like it. Modern dance is really interpretive and bizarre. And if it's not based off something solid like a story, then you're just a bunch of people moving your body in a bunch of random manner. And I'm not saying it's not organized, but I don't know what that means. So it's hard to like modern art, dance or otherwise.
Freedom that spoke to me. And when I see cats on stage, I'm amazed by the beautiful ballet and tap choreography, as well as the moments when it honors weird body movements that remind me there's no right way to be. And secondly, I love the dancing because T.S. Eliot would have hated the dancing. Eliot would...
Oh, yeah. So, is it okay to punch a modern dancer? Is that what you're trying to say, Maggie? Because you like punching... I'm sure you love punching Nazis. So is it okay for us to punch modern dancers? Is that the
equivalent?
The other side of the coin?
Mm-hmm. No idea.
I don't know. This whole philosophy of hurting people because they have a different belief than you is just bizarre.
Yeah.
I don't care that you're a Nazi. I'm not going to punch you because I disagree with you. That's ridiculous.
Was varied with the decline of cis heterosexual culture. His most famous poems all deal with the fear that men were turning into soy boys, which might give you the impression that T.S. Eliot was a Chad, but the reality, as far as I can tell, is that he was pretty meek. He wore pale makeup so that he would look more like a corpse, which I guess made him some sort of conservative goth. He was terrified of women, even just the sight of a woman. His biography on tseliot.com...
I'm terrified of you, and I guess you're female.
Yeah, we assume that you are female.
Right.
notes that when Oxford, if a female student walked into the same room as him, he couldn't even look at her. If seeing a woman enter a classroom was upsetting enough to make him turn away.
If you entered a classroom, if you entered any room and I saw you, I'd be terrified.
Yeah, because you have the crazy eyes and you look like a serial killer.
Yeah. So maybe T.S. Eliot was onto something. I don't know. Like, women are nuts. Women.
At least this one.
Yeah, women.
At least this woman and are nuts. Yeah, and maybe to a certain extent, counterpoints.
Well,
seen much of her work.
When you have women in the fine arts, maybe, or linguists, not linguists, but acting. It's like, yeah, you're crazy. You're once you have the politics of the brain, it's just something retarded happens, and we want to be as far away from as possible from you.
I'm pretty watching this. Would have made him spontaneously combust. When Eliot finally did marry his first wife, Vivian, it was a disaster. Vivian and Eliot's friend, Bertrand Russell, had an affair behind Eliot's back, and he eventually committed Vivian to a mental hospital against her will until she died. And then when he was...
Okay, that's all tragic and all, but we're talking about another genius mind, a philosopher, Bertrand Russell. And I'm not saying these are good people or bad people. I'm saying I don't care. The contribution they have left on history has nothing to do with the fact that they were stuffing people behind someone's back. That's a bad thing. We all know that, but it's not relevant to what we think of. Because no one goes, oh yeah, Ayn Rand, she had all these affairs. She had her own cult and all this other crap. It's like, we don't care. What did she leave on the history of humanity? Books, philosophy. That's what we care about. That's all we remember. It's the same with politicians, the same with all these other things. We don't care about their personal lives. And if we did, there's something wrong with you. It's like, do I care that the guy who makes the best pizza in the world has had 8 wives? I don't care. It doesn't bother me. All I care is that somehow he is a genius when he's in that pizza oven and he's making pizza. That's what I care about. Anyway.
Hello.
Oh dear. Are you sure you want to be here, LitDev? Are you sure?
What spiral of madness have we walked into now?
Where did we
Dunn
begin?
left.
Okay. Oh, he'll be back, I'm sure. She was talking about fascism and how T.S. Eliot had a lot of monarchistic views, and that his original children's book in the 1930s inspired the work by Andrew Lloyd Webber in the 70s and 80s, and that it's fashy music.
It's fashy. It's a little bit fashy.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Sorry, I died for a second.
Yeah, it's been a combination of slurs and calling, and now we're talking about Bertrand Russell, who had committed adultery with T.S. Eliot's wife, and it's like, okay, that's great, but I don't care what
message coming in.
No one cares that
Patching it through.
JFK was possibly stuffing Marilyn Monroe. No one cares. Okay, did he do his job well? Did he stop the Cuban Missile Crisis? This and that. I think he did. That's what matters. Not that his personal life was this or that. This is just a bargain basement arguments. Just nonsense.
It's kind of it's the usual technique that they go with. They want to demonize somebody. So no matter what good they did in their lives, it always boils down to what bad they did in their lives. It's kind of like that Orville episode where everyone has upvotes and downvotes on their badge. It doesn't matter how many upvotes you have. The only thing that matters in that society is downvotes. And that's kind of their mentality. Is that whatever you do, you can cure cancer, but you said a racist term once a long time ago, so you should die homeless on the street.
It's such a. I don't even know why she's bringing this up. I don't know why she brought up all this crap about her time in university when she was studying an elective in modern dance.
Modern dance.
No one cares.
Modern dance.
all she's told us so far is she likes the film because it has music. It's a musical and it has dancing in it, and that's it. Oh, and it's possibly a snide to T.S. Eliot, who was fashy.
Yeah.
That's it. Anyway.
It is so weird.
Yeah. Joseph Kerwin, thank you.
LiteratureDevil.
Oh, hello. Long time no see.
Time no see, buddy.
Anyway, the Suspiria remake was the only time modern dance was ever been interesting. I don't know that. What is the Suspiria? I don't know. Trying to think of that. I've never heard of it. Then again, I probably haven't paid
Oh.
What? What was that? You okay there, Dunn?
Oh. Yeah, I'm just seeing the super chat from Fran Madaraki.
Oh, okay, let's read that. Here's some levity. Movie Bob got scorched by Lindsay Ellis on Twitter for being a thirsty boy. Yeah, I saw that. We all saw it. It was great.
Yeah, it was
just
great.
because you posted a photo of me from years ago doesn't mean we're friends. It's like, oh shit.
And that was so awesome. That was so awesome. That was hilarious.
Talking about Lindsay Ellis, she's actually in this. Her voice is in this somewhere. I think we might have passed it, but yeah. Anyway, let's keep going.
68, he remarried his 30-year-old secretary. Meow. The more of Eliot's poetry you read, and the more you read about...
Gee, maybe because Bertrand Russell is goddamn Bertrand Russell, okay? One of the most...
Wasn't Bertrand...
Sorry?
Sorry, go for it.
Yeah, Bertrand Russell is one of our most modern... Well, he's dead now, but obviously one of the more modern philosophers of our time. So if he wants to marry a 30-year-old babe who probably worshipped everything he said, as most people did... bravo, she got him in.
That sounds good to me.
I mean, yeah, if you love this guy or girl, I don't care how old they are. If they're God amongst their peers, good for you.
Really good deal.
Why do you think there's all these rich guys with super feminine, gorgeous young women?
They keep demonizing, like, if an older guy, like he's in his 40s and he marries like a 20-year-old, or goes out with a 20-year-old, is demonized because men tend to like younger women, like the 20s or so, and they usually prefer that. But every time they do that, if they're too old, they get demonized for it, like the creeps or something.
I'm trying to think of like Patrick.
As long as they're of age, I don't care. As long as they're of age, I don't care.
Yeah, what's the story with Patrick Stewart? He has about 2 or 3 wives so far.
Yeah, something like that. Patrick Stewart's a weirdo.
I can't remember how old his latest wife is, but considerably younger than he is. It's not uncommon, and there's reasons why. Dunn, are you okay over there?
I think that my family is having a party upstairs.
Oh, okay.
It's like someone got shot or something.
Someone's screaming through the walls like, wow.
Yeah. I apologize. Let me... Sorry, I don't know why they are being like this.
No, that's fine.
I don't know what the context is.
That's okay. You could turn off your mic or push to talk, whatever you feel is best. Anyway.
I'll just mute myself. Yeah.
Again, we're not going to get through all 50 minutes of this just because it's so insane, but we're going to do our best for the next hour or so. So please stand by, folks.
His sex life, the more you realize that he was just a miserable curmudgeon who was terrified of sex and women and therefore hated both.
Fuck off. I'm so pissed off right now. You do not bad talk Bertrand Russell, okay? Holy jeez. He has a horrible understanding of women. It's like, I don't care. I really don't care what his personal life was. No one should. This is such a stupid argument. The man, as many men were, great men, geniuses in their categories. Maybe they weren't good at playing hopscotch. Maybe they weren't good at relationships. Not too many people are. These days, at least. Maybe back in the day it was more conservative and you got married and had a stable household. I don't know. I don't care. They should never impact your assessment of their work, whether it's art or philosophy or science or chemistry, whatever you want to do. And to give me this sort of armchair psychoanalysis is just pathetic. Thank you. Patrick Stewart's wife is 41 years old. There you go. Is he happily married? That's what counts. Good for him. He bagged a young girl at the time.
He was so violently upset by even the thought of interacting with a woman that he would experience what he called nervous sexual attacks. And I do want to be sensitive.
Women are terrifying.
Do you?
Women are terrifying, so I'm not like yeah, probably. I understand where he's coming from.
Have you seen a feminist? Yeah, I mean they go crazy and just shriek like a banshee and just shatter all the glasses in the restaurant or whatever.
Yeah,
they can go crazy.
Sensitive to the fact that there are some people who have experienced trauma, which leads them to fear sex, or some people are simply aromantic or asexual, and I think that's dope. But T.S. Eliot's outlook feels uncomfortably similar to a modern-day MRA.
Okay, no. All right, this weird double standard of people who need safe spaces and are offended by a depiction of something in a comic book or some bullshit. Here's a guy who actually has a real problem with women. And she's like, no, this is pathetic. He's a soy boy, this or that. It's like, no, are you kidding me? What crazy double standard. And of course, we're talking about modern time versus like 100 years ago in the 30s. It's just pathetic. People have real problems. And you're arguing about the fashy color of whatever the...
It's a little bit fashy.
I don't know. Strange argument. Thank you again, Joseph. Suspiria is an artsy horror film, really, with dance. That's interesting. Witches hiding in a dance school disguised rituals as modern dance. Oh, that's interesting. There's a scene where a girl magic dances some other girl's body into a crumpled origami disaster. Top notch. That's... You know what? That's pretty creative. I didn't even think about that. Having a ritual, like a shamanistic dance ritual for witches, which is in modern day, and it's part of some crazy spell or what have you. I'm not big on fantasy, so I didn't even think about that. But if you think of like The Witcher or high fantasy elements, and you have witches doing and posing as something else, like they're disguised, I could see that it being like a 70s B film or something like that.
Yeah, or even like the Witches by Roald Dahl, where there are witches living throughout our civilization, and they just kill kids because they smell like poop.
Okay. Alrighty.
So, kids smell like dog's droppings,
and they like to eat them or kill them.
Yeah, like they'll do it in interesting ways, like shove them in a portrait where they age and age and age until finally they disappear.
Wow.
The creative, even weird stuff.
Or even a violent incel. Seriously, we've read tons and tons
violent
of
incel.
poetry,
Yeah.
and
That's what we come back
books
to.
About him to research this video, and literally every detail we learn about him reveals yet another layer of his weird misogyny.
Who the hell cares?
His weird misogyny.
He doesn't like women.
It's not just misogyny. It's weird misogyny. Like it's not usual flavor of misogyny that he has. I guess.
You know, there's a lot of stories in manga. This is very strange, but there's a lot of stories in manga of timid women or girls like in high school or what have you, who are terrified of guys, of touching guys. They have a fear of men in general. And there's this whole arc about them like getting to know the protagonist. He's a nice guy. He's never offensive, yada, yada. And we wouldn't call that hatred towards women, or rather hatred towards men. Like, we wouldn't call it that. That sounds exactly like what Eliot was going through.
Just being shy. He's a nervous dude.
He's nervous, totally yeah. He's scared of girls for whatever reason. That's like he doesn't hate them. He has some really weird political views that most people that we've listened to on her channel tends to have, but there's no personal anecdotes of him, hating women.
For whatever weird reason, she thinks that Tim Burton is some kind of Nazi or whatever.
Yeah, we saw that video. That was fun. Anyway.
For example, Eliot's poem, The Love Song of Saint Sebastian, contains these lovely lines. I would come in a hair shirt. I would come with a lamp in the night and sit at the foot of your stair. I would flog myself until I bled. I would come with a towel in my hands and bend your head beneath my knees. You would love me because I should have strangled you, and because of my infamy. And I should love you the more because I mangled you, and because you were no longer beautiful to anyone but me.
Now, I'm just
sounds good to me
as the next girl, but this is not kink.
He's romanticizing an abusive relationship. And it's also like...
So?
BDSM exists.
What's wrong with having eroticism in your weird, creepy, mystical story? This happens lots in poetry throughout thousands of years. And this is something that I thought Maggie would appreciate because she's a creepy sexual pervert who talks about all kinds of weird nonsense.
Message coming in. Patching it through.
What's wrong with that? There's creepy stuff in the Bible about sex. Weirder than that.
Yeah, like father screwing and half-sister rape and murder and lots of weird crap.
Yeah, this is a very common element to having this infatuation with the lover who is doesn't matter what context, doesn't matter what they do, they're always the object of affection. Nothing can change. This everlasting adoration and relationship that even if they're far away, even after death, there's this morbid love and curiosity of what they're doing, what they're like. It's beyond the body sometimes. That's why they don't get offended by gruesome or the macabre details. We see that. God, we see that in Gaiman. We see that in dark poetry, dark fantasy, all sorts of the vampire subgenres of romance and harlequin. It's all over the place. And this is a show of affection, of their masculinity, of their heroism that they have. That no matter even if they self-beat themselves with flogging or what have you, they'll still have affection for whatever that lady might look like. Anyway.
Was all you had to do to be a successful writer in the 1920s was just release your private live journal poetry? Eliot also strictly adhered to rules about what physical actions men or women were allowed to enjoy. To Eliot, men were supposed to penetrate, and women were supposed to be penetrated. And not just penetrated by wieners, but even if that penetration is done by a weapon. Eliot wrote those lines from the love song of Saint Sebastian after
duties are duties.
Paintings in various galleries in Europe.
The paintings depict Saint Sebastian being martyred.
As biographer Lyndall Gordon...
Wow, I wonder where he got those ideas. You mean there's a Saint Sebastian all throughout our mythos that there's poetry about or stories about that our T.S. Eliot got inspired by?
Yeah.
Wow. Who'd have thunk? Pick Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. That was an erotic poem. Inspired by, I'm sure, lots of Arthurian legends. Tolkien was inspired by all sorts of mythos.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Pretty common stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is pretty common.
Yeah. Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, that lady is trying to bang him.
Yeah.
As a from her husband. Oh, point. He proves himself stronger than her temptation.
Yeah, there's a strong line of not just sadomasochism, but violence in general. Whether you're fighting a beast and conquering it and this and that, it's in almost every culture I could think of, where the man is trying to defeat a horde or a mystical beast, and to recoup his prize or his loved one that's been captured or this or that. Jeez, I mean, what's wrong? Is there an inherent problem with this? I don't think so.
Explained in her book Eliot's Early Years.
The three paintings show innocent, firm-fleshed youths exposed to penetrant arrows. In a letter to Conrad Aiken, Eliot noted the eroticism and emphasized that, for him, a female saint would have been more appropriate.
That is literally a painting of someone being murdered. But Eliot looked at those arrows and thought, hey, that's my wiener.
Wow. Have you read anything about the vampire eroticism by Anne Rice, where the most pleasurable thing is to be bitten by a vampire? The more orgasmic, like, I'm assuming she likes eroticism because she's talking about it.
Maggie Mayfish? Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, this is pretty tame. Like a bunch of stanzas of a one-page poem, that's nothing compared to books and tomes by Anne Rice and other such authors. I mean, come on, Maggie. Who do you think those books are for, men or women?
They're really for women. It's what spawned Twilight.
Yeah.
The weirdness of child. Like, is it like a authorized biological child grooming?
Yeah, these are trashy stories that do break a few boundaries, but that's kind of the point. You can enjoy a book and live out a weird fantasy of another character doing crazy things to another and have some weird messed up relationship, and that's great. It's fiction. That's the joy of it. I'm not saying it's great fiction, but hell, you got an audience. Keep going. Why not?
So that should be what? Eliot was so obsessed with sex and the gender binary, he had to project his...
The gender right, sure. He was
Here it comes.
This gender I'm obsessed
gender binary
with men and women. What a revelation. Thank you, Maggie Mayfish. I didn't know T.S. Eliot cared. Wow. I just...
T.S. Eliot and Saint Sebastian ended up getting his head chopped off. So... doesn't even matter. Probably wasn't even real.
That's like saying
he's a mythical figure. Like he's no more real than Hercules.
It's like saying Gordon Ramsay is obsessed with food and drink. Like, wow, I had no idea.
Yeah, Saint Sebastian and pretty much most of the saints that are revolutionaries by Catholicism, like Saint Crispin and Saint Crispinian, the patron saints of archers and shoes, are as real as Hercules or Perseus.
Yeah. There's heroes for every culture and period of time, whether it's religious or part of mythos. So, yeah, I don't get it. I don't see the problem here. But I mean, I could point to all sorts of works by Titian or Byzantine art. There's all those really two-dimensional, bad perspective medieval artworks of depictions of violence and war and hell and just absolutely disgusting photos and really poorly done as far as art goes. But yeah, this has been in the Bible. This has been in all sorts of stories and fiction throughout the years. So I don't see what the big problem is.
Obsessions onto what is supposed to be a religious spiritual image. Ew.
And Eliot is a seminal figure in Western writing. I cannot stress enough how much influence this guy, with his bananas ideas, have had on how we English-speaking people view art.
Wow, incredible. An artist has ideas no one's ever heard of before, and he becomes popular. Wow, how could this be possible? I don't know. I mean...
Tolkien, Martin... Robert Jordan, Brandon Sanderson to a certain extent.
Well, why didn't Shakespeare just write all the plays by Homer? Like, why didn't he just copy Homer? What?
Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
What a bizarre statement. He's so weird. Yeah, that's because he's an artist and no one said the stuff that he said before?
Artists are weird, yo.
Picasso. Why didn't Picasso just paint like a person from the Renaissance? Like, I don't know. He didn't want to, and he actually did, but he went to Cubism. I don't think. Jeez.
Or who had to create art, or what that art should say or portray. The values that the Western canon reflects lead directly back to Eliot's sick fetishes and life journal.
You want to rewind?
Let's see what...
Stress enough how much influence this guy, with his bananas ideas, have had on how we English-speaking people view art, or who has the right to create art, or what that art should say or portray.
Really? He had that much power?
Yeah, I don't believe that for a second. No. That is totally bullcrap.
Salinger should never be read in schools. He's so dirty. He had relationships with 17-year-old girls. Oh, no. Oh, God.
Like most people of his time period when the age of consent was a lot lower.
Salinger, as much as you didn't like his personal life or his appreciation for young women or whatever, I don't care. I really don't. His books are taught because his short stories are amazing. You have to have a good understanding of fiction if you're going to write. And that means you have to read the weirdos. You have to read Breakfast at Tiffany's and other American authors or poets over the years. You have to do that. Weird is good. Now, we have a certain problem in the comics industry. I know we've talked about this a lot, of weird is probably not the best because it doesn't help anything. There's no social commentary that it adds to the climate of understanding between men and women, or men and men, or women and women. It's just a bunch of inclusive ideas for the sake of it, as opposed to, wow, this is profound. This is a message about the times, or this is a story juxtaposing an idea from 1,000 years ago that's relevant today, and you're just seeing it in a new light. We have just people who don't know what their identity is, and you have all this new language that doesn't mean much aside from a confused child and what they're going through, and everyone sits there going, this is weird. This is just weird for the sake of being weird, not for the sake of being meaningful. Which, read an Eliot poem. He's got hundreds, I'm sure, that you can pick up and go, whoa, this is also weird, but what is it saying? What does it mean? And that's why you have studies in English, especially Eliot or Keats or Byron or all these other great English authors. So there's a big difference in quality and the message of the times when you look at today's authors and those from 100, 200, even 1,000 years ago.
At least we have Brandon Sanderson.
You love Brandon Sanderson.
Yeah.
He is good. I admit he's a smart guy.
Yeah. The values that the Western canon reflects lead directly back to Eliot's sick fetishes and fucked up live journal posts. By the way, T.S. Eliot, I know you think only women can be penetrated, but you're really missing out. So, yeah, Eliot would have recoiled at the sight of horny cats joyfully
pegging is not usually looked up upon. It's not usually looked upon favorably by other men. That's why it's usually done in secret. So it's not something that men enjoy widespread enjoyment of.
Right. There's only
pegging.
Well,
pegging. Just
that's pretty sore.
I understand is
that's pretty
painful. Well, no, it's painful. It's dangerous because you got a lot of sensitive stuff down there, and you could rupture some stuff really bad if your partner does it improperly.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about homosexual relations back in, I don't know, ancient Greece. I don't know if that was a big deal. They didn't really care too much what Aristotle was doing in gymnasiums or what have you. Again, I don't care. I don't care. I really why would I? Why would anyone? Whether there were all these homosexual relations with men back in the day, it's like, okay, fine. And your point is what? I don't get it. I don't really care what these personal relations were that men had and women had. Like the same with Ayn Rand. I said it before. I don't care that there was a cult forming around her. And one day she didn't like Mozart. Therefore, Mozart was outlawed to listen to. Or all her extramarital affairs she had. And it was rationalized and you can call cuckolded by other men and this and that. It's like, I don't care. It doesn't matter. Her books stand so far as modern pieces of fiction that have a philosophical lesson to learn from. And that's why they're taught. That's why they're inspiring. That's why we have video games called BioShock. That's why they exist. So it's just, none of these things matter. I could talk about my wonderful Rob Ford, my mayor from 15 years ago that died, and all the crazy antics and drugs he did and final death. But as a mayor, he's one of the best mayors we had. A politician who actually did the things he said he was going to do until some of the things were blocked by the rest of council. But that's, he did what he could. That's the kind of man I respect, regardless of his politics. I don't even care about his politics. I don't like politics. But if you say he's going to do X, Y, and Z, he gets X and Y done, I think that's a pretty good average for a politician. Anyway.
Man, Dr. White, Greek mythology is full of bestiality, incest, and worse kinds of eroticisms. What is her point?
Yeah. I mean, just study anything with Freud in it. It's like, oh, this is really creepy. Yeah. Why does Freud keep bringing up sex so much and obsessions with your mother and this and that? It's like, that's how he was thinking. Was it effective as therapy? I don't know. I really don't. Most people sort of laugh at it as a form of therapy. But we're not talking about, interpretations of the mind and psyche. We're talking about an author or an artist who is being poetic with poetry.
A lot of people are asking in the chat, how is this related to Cats?
Yeah,
Can we go back to Cats?
Oh, is that what this video is about? About the movie Cats?
Not yet. Not really.
Barely brought up Cats in the past 20 minutes of this video.
Yeah.
I love the fact that a movie based on Eliot's poetry conflicts so dramatically with his source material. By the time we get to the current iteration of Cats, Eliot's original meaning is
I just realized this video is 58 minutes long.
Baffling off-the-cuff cutaways.
Oh no, look what the cat dragged in.
That's creepy.
To the static Cooper shots that stop the action in place. To the widely different acting style choices. All of these aspects obscure T.S. Eliot's work to the point of parody. We now have rowdy screenings where we meow at the screen and lap up milk and throw glitter into the air when T. Swift shakes her catnip bottle. We laugh at the exposed human hands. We laugh because it seems to make no sense. So it's kind of perfect because on a literal, pragmatic level, fascism is absurd. It makes no sense.
Wait, what?
It's inherently self-contradictory by design. It demands that you deceive yourself about the world around you, and then it demands...
Where did fascism come in?
She's talking about...
T.S. Eliot was apparently a fascist.
She's talking about being deceived by the world around her. That's brilliant. I love that.
Could you make a list about who isn't a fascist?
Yeah,
everyone's a fascist.
I would really like that list just to see where she sits. Where is she in that world? She might discover she's secretly an unconscious fascist or whatever she calls people.
Everyone's a fascist except for me and my friends. Okay, we're the only non-fascists in the world.
Denial.
Oh boy. What the hell was that about?
I don't know. It was a skit.
Was that a vegetable or something?
It's probably what she acts like normally every day.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Probably, honestly. Seems like that kind of person.
I hope she didn't see that vegetable as a sexual object. It's going to do something like, a gun is a sexual object. Brought in by the patriarchy. All farmers are capitalists because they're, proletariat people.
Honestly, I would love to see Maggie Mayfish's reaction to our videos. I think that'd be hilarious.
I don't think she'd pay attention for more than 2 seconds, but yeah.
Probably not.
No.
It's like everybody was saying, again, what? That was terrifying. WTF was that? Or she'll look like she'll peg you without your consent.
Oh dear. Tyler Preston, Miss Fish, what WTF does all this have anything to do with the movie Cats? We don't know. This is what happens.
I think it's kind of a renegade kind of situation where they say, let's talk about this movie, but they really will just want to talk about politics.
Exactly. No. It. Because Cats is so weird and just bizarre, it gives her the freedom to talk about anything, and she interpret and add whatever crap she wants. So it's just this weird interpretive dance nonsense. She's actually making a film out of, or a video out of that. Oh, cats reacting to cucumbers. Really? Okay. That's a thing. All right. Interesting.
Stillness. Eliot's poetry is very static, very still, lacking in movement. The imagery in his poems often tends towards death, decay, and rot. In the Poetics of Fascism, a
brain when watching your video.
into the
Death,
fascist
decay,
ideologies in the work of T.S. Eliot and Ezra Pound, Paul Morrison writes,
Eliot privileges stillness.
But this stillness isn't just a lack of physical motion. It has larger cultural implications. Morrison continues,
He is thus opposed to any poetic that maintains or exacerbates the tension between the socially actual and desirable, between what is and what might be.
Eliot doesn't want just the human body to remain still. He wants all of culture, all of society to remain still.
What? I don't even... I mean, I've read some of T.S. Eliot's. I think the most famous one for me is The Hollow Men. That is a profound, deep, and meaningful story. He talks about men being held up like a scarecrow. It's interesting she's getting some of these facts right, but to extend that to culture or humanity as a whole, I don't know. That is... you're talking about a piece of interpretive emotional prose in the form of what's called poetry. It's supposed to be interpretive. But to say this is what it means because some other guy says that T.S. Eliot likes Stillness, I don't even, you can't even make that conclusion.
Because reasons, apparently.
It's just so strange. I can quote a whole bunch of authors that like Stillness too, Japanese ones. I don't think they want culture to remain static.
Oh, they don't. They want culture to evolve and move forward.
And his poetic grammar reflects that. He's a poet who refuses to imagine a different or better world, which kind of seems like it defeats the purpose of writing poetry, but okay.
Oh, shut up. Oh my God. Let's look at some Russian authors. Let's look at some Polish authors, existential authors. They're pretty sad and depressing, and they get at you. They make you cry. They're so real. They're so believable. That the story of a woman who is somehow visited by the devil and acts as a witch, and she has all these powers for one evening. She goes on this adventure. That is more than just whatever she's talking about. These are classics by great Russian authors for a reason. They're not just fun, silly, stupid things. And let's just rewind that. The hell she said. It's nonsense.
His poetic grammar reflects that. He's a poet who refuses to imagine a different or better world, which kind of seems like it defeats the purpose of writing poetry, but okay. Meow. Although Eliot...
Okay, so the purpose of writing poetry is not to have a better... what? That's like saying poetry, the purpose of music...
expression of the author in verse.
Yeah, it's like saying music has to do X. If music doesn't do X, it's not music. You're like, no.
It seems like she is accusing Eliot of something she believes herself.
I don't... You know when all those people say art has to make you feel something or else it's not art or some nonsense like that? It's like, well, why? What if I see...
It's just any creation.
Yeah, but
it's just a creation.
If I go watch some modern dance routine and I sit there confused the entire time and I say, I'm totally confused, I don't feel a thing, did it fail as a work of art? No, it's still art. It's still dance routine. I just didn't get it. I didn't feel anything from it. It's not my fault. It's not the dance's fault. I just don't understand it. The same with Cubism or any other style of art I don't get. But to say that poetry has to do X is silly.
Eventually moved to England and renounced his American passport. He was born in America. The history of America is a history of cis, straight, white, landowning men policing bodies. Most explicitly the genocide carried out by European colonizers against the people already living in America. And the slave trade, where black bodies were stripped of autonomy and
that's it. America's all about the slave trade. That's all it ever was. No, it was not.
Bodies were viewed as one part of a larger machine. So the baseline reality in American history has always been people in power have the right to manipulate your body more than you have the right to manipulate your own.
No.
This power dynamic continues today
That's
in
not
how
how it works.
black and other marginalized bodies are policed by the police. Or how reproductive rights are policed by men. Or how
police have a right to
exclude
stop
trans
crime,
bodies
not
from
just
public spaces.
one sort of
Tourists have
people.
taken the policing
Doesn't
of
make any
body
sense.
language to such a literal degree. They want your genitals to be the sole determining factor of your entire future.
What?
From the tiniest
What?
flick of the wrist
This is
being
pretty
used
crazy.
to
This
condemn
is
someone as
insane.
gay, to the wrong kind of look being used as proof that someone is a psychopathic pervert, or the way that my
Maybe they could be a psychopathic pervert. They start
Were we supposed to be talking about cats?
I don't know. I don't know. What's going on?
I don't know. We're in the realms of crazy.
Time for a generic, very, very wrong, psychopathic tirade on politics. It is manufactured. This is made up of manufactured context. Nothing else.
Let's attack America at the turn of the century for some reason. It's like, why?
Why?
America was founded in slavery. Okay, yeah.
No, it really wasn't.
Yeah, it really wasn't. You're wrong. How have you ever wrong?
Americans are in control of other people's bodies. Like, really?
I mean, your professor who came to school drunk every day on soy lattes probably told you that was true, but it's not true.
Okay. Back to some furry felines on the screen, I hope. Let's see if that's the topic.
Own voice face are labeled as trans by creeps in the comments section, even though I'm cis. We are constantly...
Wait. People call you trans? Wow. How could that be possible? Couldn't see that, Maggie. You just dress up as animals and paint your face all kinds of crazy colors and... Yep. Completely not trans. You're 100% female. The image of femininity.
Told that we can't exist in physical space. We must exist in the appropriate way. In the Middle Ages in Europe, these kinds of rules about how to present yourself in public were codified in the sumptuary laws, which governed what kinds of clothes different genders or social classes were allowed to wear. It was a way to order society
Genders.
at the whims of the monarch.
Not just women, but
since
both.
we Westerners really excel at internalizing behavior that causes self-harm, we've learned to enforce these customs on ourselves. Self-policing language is baked in...
Internalizing behavior that causes self-harm? What does that even mean?
I don't know.
Like how every sentence is said so smugly. Like, I'm so right and everyone else is so stupid. Like that... It's just to say everything's so smugly. It's so smug.
Yeah, imagine.
And that's why she has to use like fake little. She can't use background images like for real ones. She has to use can't use a green screen because everything else is burned away because all the smugness is toxic.
Imagine someone who's like part of the monarchy from like 100 years ago starts critiquing Plato about Plato's understanding of the 5 regimes of politics. He's giving this weird tirade about how
feminist.
The aristocracy is horrible. You need a singular king to lead us all to final victory or whatever nonsense. You're like, what? Why? and then the monarchy gets overthrown. It's all one big democracy. It's like, oh, monarchy. What you need is everyone voting at the same time to come up with good ideas, or no one's fair. It's like, what? And then you get a republic, and they just keep going on and on.
To our everyday actions. The theorist Thomas Yingling gave this description of how we reinforce society's values, specifically through our body language.
The problem of signs of the homosexual is inescapable. One is taught young, for instance, that homosexuality is semiotic, and that there are signs of it, and that one ought not to produce those signs. Even as children, perhaps especially as children, gays are taught to hide their own signs and substitute those of the dominant culture. Boys who are sissies internalize quite early that the signs of their sissyhood are, absurdly, for they seem self-produced and contingent with identity, their enemy. They may in fact recognize that those who object to these signs are also enemies, but the outcome is more often than not the repression of signs of sissyhood, assuming here that children have not yet the code words gay or homosexual. One false, and therefore true, sign is enough to bring on danger in certain situations. Literal...
Just stop.
Danger.
Just stop. Okay. First off, semiotic. Everything is semiotic. It's like saying symptoms for a disease. It's like, are you noticing coughing? You might have a cold. That's what semiotic is. But this sentence, one false, and therefore true. Just... run that through your brain for 2 seconds and see how you do.
Exposure to persecution. So, the problematic of the sign is forced upon the homosexual at an early age.
The problematic of the sign is forced upon a homosexual child. Does that make sense? Does that single sentence right there make any sense?
I don't. I don't see how this makes sense.
The problem, first of all, the word problematic is, problematic. So there's a sign about homosexuality in children. Okay, maybe, I guess. I have never, I don't know, what would be a homosexual male child acting against another male child? I guess. I don't get it. How would you rate that? How would you gauge that sign? Is he getting an erection around other boys? Maybe he's just a human, and he's growing, and this is natural. Yeah, people get aroused for all sorts of different reasons when they're growing to puberty.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, tell us what. Give us a sign. Give us a literal description of whatever the heck you're talking about.
Is this the worst Maggie May Fish video?
I think this is the dumbest. I think this is like the stupidest, dumbest one. Like other ones are creepy, weird, bizarre, and hilarious. And this is just insulting. Insulting T.S. Eliot, Russell, a little bit of Andrew Lloyd Webber, who I don't even respect as a musician, but he's still a musician. And you don't insult him for calling him a fascist. That's retarded. It's like I have a worst enemy. He's a worst enemy for a specific reason, not because he likes ice cream sundaes or something. Like that's like what?
It's utterly stupid. It's so dumb.
And it differs experientially from that detailed, for instance, in Afro-American texts. For there, the sign of difference, blackness, is not considered to be within one's control.
So even though moving your own body in a certain way may feel more natural to you, we're taught to fear this bodily self-expression in the mirror and in others. Through childish bullying, we alienate ourselves from...
Okay, that's a simple thing. When I was growing up, my left foot, and this is even today, it turns slightly inward. So my mom took myself to the podiatrist. He says, you know what, okay, we're going to buy some normal shoes, keep wearing them. And that's good because, it would affect your knees, your kneecap, the growth of your legs, et cetera, et cetera. So there is an improper way just to walk, okay? Not sexually, not this or that, or I liked high heels, or I liked walking in pumps, or this or anything like that. Like if you watch the musical Kinky Boots, that was the story of the kid there. But just on walking, I had a problem. And I'm not saying it, my knees are still pretty sensitive, but that's life. I mean, you're gonna have children born in certain ways where their joints and their muscles and their bodies don't react properly. And luckily for me, it was just skeletal muscles and my bones, as opposed to people who have problems with their internal organs. So there are proper ways to sit. There are proper ways to walk and run and talk and this and that. And children should be taught how to do that. I don't think anyone is suppressing people's emotions unless it's in an appropriate context, like being quiet and sitting still. And we see that all the time in public with parents trying to control their children. So that's not the argument here. She's talking very specifically about potential, I guess, sexual arousal in kids. I guess. I'm not too clear. But there is, in fact, a right and wrong way to walk and run and this and that. And you have to sit, posture. My God, even today, we have problems with posture. So, anyway.
Our own body. Then alienate other people, since we're conditioned to make value judgments based on how they move, how they look, how they dress, or how they carry themselves. This idea really gets to the heart of why some people were upset at the straightwashing of the magical Mr. Mistopheles character. In the live musical version, Mr. Mistopheles was this beautiful, unbridled expression of body language. And in the new version, he's explicitly straight and just so happens to not have any of that same expressive body movement. Hollywood limits bodily expression by typecasting actors who look a particular way. Deformity and disability are associated with mental illness, impotence, or evil. Heroism and...
Or sometimes genius, like Professor Charles Xavier. Extraordinary abilities. Yeah, what the hell?
Unusual traits can offer services to evil people, but also can be a shorthand to tell the person that they're unusual. Maybe they have some sort of they're a genius, but they have some sort of other disability that kind of balances it out, makes it a little more interesting. Oh, this guy's a genius, but he can't move his legs like Xavier. It happens all the time. It happens all the time. But yeah, traditionally, if you want to go back to fairy tale, that sort of stuff, we do have an instinctual, like almost primal way of looking at things, and that the ugliness, we see ugliness as bad, or what we perceive as ugliness is bad, and therefore usually the deformed and deformity is seen as less trustworthy or evil. It's the way witches have, canonically, or they have developed into these evil, or wicked, ugly-looking women with like warts and long noses and stuff. So yeah, I mean, you're not going to be able to defeat that. Okay, it's primal. It's deep inside of our brains. Okay, you can't fight that. But what you can do is make a character that might share some of these deformities, and then have them be likable, have them be heroes. I don't mean put them in the protagonist position. I mean give them values and traits and virtues that make the audience like them. That's how you do it.
Tyrion Lannister is a good example.
Yeah, exactly. I remember a Terry Brooks book called The Night of the Word, where a character named John Ross, he's given this magical staff, but it takes away his ability to walk in one leg, because it requires a blood sacrifice. I can't remember the exact reason, but so he has this magical staff that he can walk with, and if he gives it up, he has to give it back to the lady of the fairy glen or whatever. So he's like a sacrificial hero, and he is the hero of the story. So he has to combat the darkness and this and that. So there's plenty of stories of, even in fantasy genres or even science fiction, of a sacrifice or one for the other, giving up something that happens to be a bodily action, a bodily method. We saw that with Saren in Mass Effect. He gives up some of his humanity and his bodily process to be more cybernetic. So fairly common trait, and it's usually empowering. It's never, oh, look at the ugly character. What was that episode of Clone Wars, which Shiny showed us, where there was a defective clone, and he was just a janitor because he couldn't fight, but he had the most courageous and noblest spirit out of all of them. He was completely for his brothers. He loved them all. It didn't matter that he was decrepit and weak, but he fought when his home was getting attacked. He didn't care. He's like, I'm useful. I'm still a hero inside, like all my brothers. So I think authors since, at least the 60s, we're talking about Marvel Comics, were aware of this, and they wanted to uplift people even though they were, missing a leg or an arm, or they were blind or this or that. And there's plenty. Marvel Comics is pretty much based off that. So I don't know how she missed that at all. Maybe she's talking about specific films. I don't know. Anyway.
I don't know.
I'm not going to go any further. This is really just sad to listen to. Maybe another 5 minutes. I think that'll be good.
Virtue are associated with good looks. In film, comedy and horror are the two main genres that allow extreme bodily expression. Comedy allows the body to be penetrable, to be gross, to be deformed or smushed into odd positions. But in comedy, the body also usually bounces back. Physical manipulation is temporary, which gives us a sense of relief in the end.
That's a specific style of comedy. I could have said exactly the same thing in science fiction, where you could have aliens and multiple appendages and things blowing up because you're in a space opera. Same with fantasy.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang does not rely on this sort of comedy. Neither does Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
And that's just basically a Shane Black comedy. Neither does, Along Came Polly. Most of Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson's work.
If you're talking about, acting or comedy, like very mechanical comedy, like, was it Michael Richards from Seinfeld? There's styles, there's various genres and subgenres of comedy. So maybe she's referring to that kind of expression like we see with Mr. Ace Ventura here. So she's not wrong, but it's...
For example, is a very unique... It's basically just Jim Carrey or, Jim Carrey's style of humor.
Right, but you can look at Hong Kong films from the 70s and 80s with Wire Fu when they became popular in the 90s, where there's all sorts of acrobatics, there's all sorts of expressions and fighting styles and stances, and that was the big thing with Jackie Chan. He would show the full stance, whereas later on in his career it was all action and fast and like jumping and running. Whereas 70s and 80s Jackie Chan, all full stance, full fighting, lots of pauses to show off that this is the correct form. And that was beautiful about that, because they had these big long shots and they would fight and pause and fight and pause. So that was pretty acrobatic. That was extremely well choreographed. Very, very energetic. So maybe she doesn't know the full extent of film, and that's fine. But she's very limited in her understanding of it. Mm-hmm. And horror is, that could be anything.
We are reassured that the body will heal. In horror, however, the body is penetrable, gross, deformed, and smush, but these unsettling body movements are used to terrify us. In horror, the body does not bounce back. Mutilation is permanent, and it explores our fear of mortality. One example I want to point out is in The Silence of the Lambs. Buffalo Bill is demonized because the character both transgresses traditional gender roles by skinning a woman alive to wear her skin.
No, he's demonized because he skins women and kills them.
And
that's why he's demonized.
Well-behaved society by being a weirdo recluse. In contrast, Hannibal gains the trust of those same people because while having
No, look, okay, in the movie, like they have a contention over that. Like, no, transsexuals are more normally peaceful, but not this guy. Hannibal Lecter's like, not this guy. Okay, he's crazy. He wants to experience it fully, and that's why he's making his women's suit. That's why, because he was modeled after Ed Gein. Okay, so it's not because he's a transvestite or something like that. Well, that's what they call him, I think, or transsexual, whatever it is. It's not because of that. It's not because he's a recluse. Why he's demonized? He's demonized because he's a murderer. He's demonized because he's a killer, and he skins women to turn their skin into suits. That's why he's demonized.
Because he's psycho. He's insane.
That's generally the reaction we get to people who are brutally kill and torture people. Yeah, I think that's kind of.
I think you're going to say that that Hannibal Lecter manages to gain the trust of the people. He never gains their trust. He makes a connection with Clarice Starling because he is apart from being a crazy cannibal guy, he's also a very well-renowned psychiatrist who has insight in the criminal mindset. That's why this is actually based off a real story. Where an actual FBI agent or somebody consulted with a criminal. I forgot who the criminal was, but they actually consulted with another criminal to catch another criminal that was on the loose. And they needed Hannibal. They went to Hannibal Lecter because he might have known him, or he's able to get inside his brain. Because not only is he have a unique specimen with Hannibal Lecter, he is both a high functioning, which is something they do say. He's high functioning intelligence wise. He's a doctor, and he has intimate knowledge and workings within the criminal mind. So that's why they go to him. Now they don't let him out. They don't let him outside of the cage. They don't take him outside of the prison. Like all throughout Silence of the Lambs, he's actually not in the movie much. He remains inside the prison the entire time because they don't trust him. And the only time he's able to get any freedom from that initial cell is because he makes a deal only out of desperation. They only give him that out of desperation. So they're like, okay, well, I'll tell you how to capture him. And by that point, he's proven himself to be reliable. Like every single piece of evidence, piece of conjecture that he's given them has been correct and spot on. So by that time, he had the leverage to say, okay, well, I have a piece of information that you can have, but I want a list of things to be happy to for me to have. And one was I want a little cage, a cell that's a little more open. I want some nicer food, some music, that sort of thing. And they gave it to him out of desperation. The person who gives it to him she hates it, but she feels she has no choice. They never trust Hannibal Lecter. Any rewards he gets, he forces them to give them to him. So there was never an essence of trust, except maybe between him and Clarice Starling. That was it. And she doesn't even trust him. She just trusts his mind and his insights onto the criminal mind that is Buffalo Bill. And that's it. Now, she does have a fascination with Hannibal Lecter because they get like a little connection. That line, some might say we're in love. Well, yeah, because she starts to respect him. He also has a powerful charm about him. but he's also very mysterious. The thing is, they don't trust him. Nobody trusts Hannibal Lecter. And the only time he might see some trust going on is between the fascination between him and Clarice Starling. And that's it. And the only time he gets rewards is when he forces the people to give him rewards in exchange for information on the runaway killer.
Committed almost the exact same crimes as Buffalo Bill, he doesn't transgress his traditional gender roles. He skins a man alive, thank you very much, and does it in a very manly way, and traditional well-behaved society. Hannibal has the mannerisms and co-opts the signs of being a gentleman. Lecter uses civilized body language as a means of making us not only identify with him, but even empathize with him and root for him.
You identify with Hannibal Lecter?
Oh yeah, obviously. I don't think you identify with Hannibal Lecter. I think you're fascinating. He's a fascinating character.
You're
no one really identifies with him.
No one goes, wow, what I never thought of a Chianti and liver of a human. I just never, foie gras, human. Oh. Hey.
On a literal level, their physical crimes are remarkably similar, but on a symbolic level, their social crimes are polar opposites. Yes, the crowd will cheer for a serial killer, or a war criminal, or a tyrant, as long as that monster speaks with a particular cadence, dresses in a particular way, and regurgitates particular euphemisms to excuse
people
their
still
own
liked
violent behavior.
Ralph Fiennes' portrayal of the Tooth Fairy.
Stillness, or use it for a particular effect.
People still felt empathy, and they felt sorry for Ralph Fiennes' portrayal of the Tooth Fairy in Red Dragon. And he is more like Buffalo Bill. Like, he's a weirdo. He has he hates how he looks, so he smashes mirrors. Is how you know he's there in the house. So there's a lot of things in there about the Tooth Fairy, the criminal called the Tooth Fairy, that is not Hannibal Lecter level.
Richard Madden.
Yeah.
Richard Armitage playing the Tooth Fairy in Hannibal.
Armitage, right?
No, wait, which one? I mean, was it Manhunter? And there's another one about that one, I think.
Oh, that would be a different guy. I'm thinking about the Hannibal TV show.
Oh, yes.
Oh, right. Okay, TV show. Yeah, it's the very last season. Yeah, the Tooth Fairy he's a serial killer. He's also very empathetic. So we kind of, I guess you could say, the audience cheers them both on, but for very different reasons. They cheer on Hannibal Lecter because he comes from a place of strength. He's very charming and he knows a lot of things. He's very inquisitive and very perceptive, and he's very intelligent, highly intelligent. The audience also would probably cheer on the Tooth Fairy, as you put it in your terms, because he is empathetic. He has he is in love with a woman. He tries to fall in love, tries to go away. He's struggling with his killer instinct. He struggles with that instinct to kill, even though it keeps driving him onward and onward to do so. So he's a more tragic character. That's why they cheer him on, not because he complies with social norms. When the Tooth Fairy, he definitely does not. Everyone finds him weird, but people can still empathize with him for these reasons. So I think you're wrong there, Maggie Mayfish.
He's always wrong. What are you talking about?
People tend to confuse the concepts of empathy and sympathy. We can identify emotionally or empathize with villains and characters if the story is presented in a believable way. That's normal. That's fine. That's part of storytelling to generate drama. But to feel sorry for them, that's a whole other ballgame. And there's a certain formula for that. So I can empathize with some of the villains in Schindler's List because they are in love with, let's say, a Jewish woman, and they're struggling with
That's
that.
Ralph Fiennes too, actually.
Yeah.
I guess he was typecast in the early 2000s. Then he played Voldemort. Now he can't get out of playing Voldemort. Like, he basically played Voldemort as Hades in the Clash of the Titans remake.
Really? Again, big difference between empathize, sympathize, how they work. This is just because we previously did a video on The Last of Us 2, which that was the big problem with the anti-protagonist, or whatever you want to call the anti-antagonist of Abby. So you have to build up a rapport with your characters before you turn them into demons. You have to care about them. Whereas with Hannibal, he's creepy and smart and fascinating, and they
do a really good job of setting him up. Where you have like progressively crazier guys, and then you just see this guy standing in the middle, and he just calmly says, "Hello, Clarice."
Right. And he has an acute sense of smell and all these other observations. Exactly. He's brilliant.
Yeah, where it's just, and then just previous, you had this weird psycho guy who says like he can smell her genitals.
One genre that is usually full of movement and expression is musicals, which is another weird thing about Cats 2019. Tom Hooper loves shooting static close-ups during some of the more dramatic songs for some ungodly reason. These are my least favorite shots in the whole movie, and they bring the energy to a dead halt. In these shots, you can feel the actors struggling against the stilted, unnatural framing, and it's a bummer to see Tom Hooper's shot selection sabotage these actors' performances.
What?
My cat name is Jar Jar Binks.
Cats are famously unmoved by others, each cat its own king of its own land. Socialists we'd be called by others, a bad word I've heard when uttered by men.
Even if you haven't seen Cats, you've probably heard that it's basically two...
What the hell was that? Socialists? How is everything gotta be political for this bint? Like, what is she doing?
We're slowly going insane.
Yeah, we gotta stop in a few minutes. I don't think I could take much more. This is like pointless. I mean, at least she was dressed as a cat and talking about cats. That's a step up from going on about Silence of the Lambs. He's like, what? Did you know there's movement in horror and comedy? Let's talk about Silence of the Lambs for 2 minutes. Okay. Did you know Buffalo Bill was transsexual? Like, okay.
I don't care.
Basically 2 hours of cat characters introducing themselves and then singing songs about their own ridiculous names and what they do in their spare time. The silly name motif is one of the many things about cats that feels random and pointless at first, but when we dig deeper, we see that it fits right into Eliot's stratified view of the universe. Eliot didn't see names as private property. To him, your name is inherent to your identity, handed down to you from your parents, whose parents handed it down to them, and so on and so on. In the Poetics of Fascism, Morrison writes,
Oh no.
Names mean, or are one of the means, whereby the subject is initially placed, put in its place, in relation to the social, which our culture tends to manage through the reproduction of family names.
From birth, we are labeled by our parents, and these labels are spoken so casually, so matter-of-factly, that they end up being baked into our self-identity, especially for a firstborn son who is given their father's full name. Like the way that kings will assume names like William II or Henry VIII when they take the crown. They're folding their identities backwards in history, laying claim to the identities of their forefathers, or even to people that they have no relation to.
What is your point?
By extension, these kings and queens lay claim to all those previous people's lands, properties, and divine rights. It's just one of the many ways that people in power use language to perpetuate their power, or as Morrison puts it,
to reproduce the world as it has been conventionally produced.
Which makes it even more infuriating that Ray is a Palpatine. In this essay, I will expose... This reproduction of the status quo is woven into the very fabric of the T.S. Eliot poems that Cats is based on. Morrison.
I don't...
She just yelled that it's bad that Ray is a Palpatine.
She is
so
trying...
She's one of those people. Okay.
She just went on a rant about how last names or first names work in relation to fascism. What was that?
Let's back up to see what she said about Ray Palpatine. I want to hear.
power, or as Morrison puts it,
to reproduce the world as it has been conventionally produced.
Which makes it even more infuriating that Ray is a Palpatine. In this essay, I will expose... This reproduction of the status quo is woven into the very fabric of the T.S. Eliot poems that Katz is based
So she stopped her entire line of thinking by making an episode 9 joke and just stopped and just jumped topics. What the hell? So. What was she talking about? Names? Yes, our names come from our parents. What's your point? Fascist? I just what? What is she on?
I guess she's in the. Well, at least we know she's in the camp that friggin' hates Rise of Skywalker.
Oh my goodness.
That Katz is based on. Morrison writes,
humankind is enjoined to recognize, not invent, spiritual realities. And so the naming of cats is finally about the recognition, not the giving of names.
Fascists obsess over names, especially Jewish names, like the way that they'll use triple parentheses around a Jewish name online to signal the twisted idea that Jewish names echo through our history for their supposed crimes. So to someone like Eliot, your name reveals a deeper truth.
You know, this was a similar argument made by MadPat. But he said that the Cats movie about, being a cult. But the thing about MadPat stuff is you don't really take that stuff too seriously. It's kind of like, it's just fun. It's just a theory, a game theory, or film theory. Like, if you watch that stuff and you like that stuff, it's just meant to be fun. Like, you're not supposed to take it seriously. She's making the same argument, but for fascism, but taking it seriously.
All because a book referenced a book by T.S. Eliot.
I think did it even mention cats? Maybe it was it actually mentioned that. Oh, it didn't mention the.
Yeah, the book by T.S. Yeah, which is part of the series of stories that T.S. Eliot, or rather, Andrew Lloyd Webber based his musical on. So it's once you start making these bizarre connections over the years, it keeps getting weaker and weaker and weaker, and it can't possibly be the connection that she's thinking of. Anyway, Tyler Preston, thank you for the donation. Okay, I'm tired of this shit every time these progressives who accuse us of associating fictional serial killers like Norman Bates and Buffalo Bill with transgender people are completely projecting their beliefs onto us, the sane folks. I don't know what this is. I don't know if she's crazy, if she's lost the plot, of what she's trying to... this is supposed to be an analysis of the film, not whatever this has become. But with it has come racism, slavery, cis whatever maleism and femalism, dance,
Alexei put it best. What is this? Why is this?
It's so many. It's like writing an essay and forgetting what the hell you're talking about and just rambling. And then I had a dream about Descartes about talking about elephants, and elephants are big, and because they're big, they remind me of it just keeps going on. It's like, whoa. I'm glad that one book she referenced a book by Eliot. What the Eliot has to do with fascism, I still don't know. Or cats. I just who cares? Who cares that Aristotle was potentially a homosexual? I don't care. He never mentions it in any of his books or any of his writings. Why would he? I mean, I was thinking about the axis of the earth while I was banging this guy. It's like, what? No.
And about your place in society. We see this with Skimbleshanks the railway cat, whose identity is bound to his job. He doesn't just work for the rail line, he is of the railway train. And everything we learn about him is simply the details of his job. I can imagine Eliot sitting on a train, watching the ticket agent collecting the tickets, and Eliot is just totally unable to imagine that the ticket agent has any life beyond the walls of the train car.
So Eliot, what she wants to have is for everyone to have a detailed life. So every single character must have a detailed, drawn-out life. documented within the context of the story somehow. So even the smallest person that shows up has to. You also have to know that he has like a wife or a house somewhere. He has a mortgage going on. He likes coffee. That's ridiculous. Have you ever written anything? I hope not.
Can you imagine having to explain that or express that through musical dance? Like that would be.
I drink coffee with my mortgage. Yeah, no.
Da 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 da. My wife is over there and she's in the kitchen.
I want to lower taxes.
More than a fun of the train that Eliot is paying to ride. Simply a part of the larger machine. One very important name that Eliot uses to perpetuate the past is Old Deuteronomy. Eliot pulled the name Deuteronomy from the Old Testament. Deuteronomy is set right before the Israelites enter the Promised Land. The laws that were first codified in the book of Exodus, Leviticus, and Numbers are reiterated and expanded upon in the book of Deuteronomy. The meaning of the word Deuteronomy even points to the idea that the book is a copy, a repetition, or a reproduction of those same laws. So the character Old Deuteronomy represents the law, physically manifested in the body of the king. But more importantly, try to imagine the book of Deuteronomy from Eliot's point of view. From his point of view, or someone like Mike Pence, or any other militant theocrat who sees the church as superior to the state. Deuteronomy describes an ethno-state where religion and law are one. It's their fantasy, man.
There is no... Most laws on the face of this planet are built around the Ten Commandments because they give us a functional society.
Yeah, I mean, there's if he were, I don't know, you think he would have ushered in a deconstruction of the idea of church separation between church and state by now, if he was really that much of a theocrat. I don't think he is. He has a religion. He follows it. He's very faithful to his wife. But he hasn't implemented any laws or anything like that, or that says we should dominate the government with laws based on religion. He hasn't. Those are Republicans. They tend to they are the party of let's minimize the power of the government.
Let's imagine he's a card-carrying member of all the worst groups, like the whites, nationalists, the KKK, every group, every horrible group. What has he done that's broken the rules of the laws of him being a governor or what was Mike Pence before he was VP? Was he
I forgot.
Senator or something? Like
I forgot what he was.
You could be in America anything you want. You could be a socialist, you could be a Republican, you could be all these groups, so long as you abide by the laws. So who cares what they think? Who cares what they do on the weekends, provided they aren't breaking any laws? Let them think whatever they want. Let them go to churches. Let them not go to churches. Who cares? It's just silly. Like, this person could be a fascist because he believes in God. It's like, no. Okay, I think we should stop right now. It's 7:30ish, and we're more than half done. I think that's more of an accomplishment tonight. We're at 2 hours and a half. Wow. I mean, it's fun because I'm used to it now, but we're really not getting out of it, and or getting much more out of it, and there's more entertaining and fun things to do, and I like to talk to you guys after anyway, so let's do that instead. But let's read some super chats. We'll say goodnight and call it a day. How's that? Whew.
Good.
All right. Dunn, I wish we can get through it all, but I think...
You're fine. Totally fine.
I don't think we're going to get much more, yeah. Joe Crazy. Maggie Hun, you forgot your meds again. I don't know. I don't think she's on meds. I think she's naturally this way.
Yeah. Ooh, Inquisitor Matthews had something good to say. Okay, I will use Patrick's argument. This is a kid's story. There's no need to be in depth.
Oh, yeah. It's a story about prancing cats and singing songs. It's like, that's about it.
Pretty much.
Alex Halo, what does she think this is? Beowulf? I don't know what she thinks America is, aside from this patriarchal cesspool of slavery and power. I don't know. I really don't. No, we're not getting a part 2.
Inquisitor Matthews.
No.
Inquisitor Matthews.
No part 2.
Inquisitor Matthews. Will we no part 2? Why can't we finish this? This is gonna be great.
Well, if you want to really do one, I guess we could, like another few days. It's tough. I'm okay by it now because she said all the crazy nonsense. And the references, I just, when you start talking about philosophers, I don't care who they are. If you start talking about poets and call them this or that, like, yeah, so maybe Eliot was a little bit nutty to women and had various political views, but you know what? He never held office, okay? He never actually tried to cause a revolution. He was a poet. He was a writer. So let's judge his art on his writing alone, not his personal life. Let us not delve into their personal lives when it's not relevant to the discussion. And I don't know why people like Maggie, no one's like Maggie. I mean, people like who are politically minded have to pick apart people's personal lives. Say, oh, they had an adulterous affair. You know, they did this horrible thing to their daughter or this or that. It's like, okay, that's bad. No one's disagreeing. But it's not relevant to the discussion, nor to change their work as it stands. Nor should we try to interpret that as an influence to their work. Their work should be excellent, and if not, we should pick it apart if it is that good and see why it's so good, why people like it, why it's so influential, why they still teach or have us read Walt Whitman in school, in North America at least, even though it's largely an American author, but Canada reads Walt Whitman too, because he's that good. He's that prolific. He's such an influence on people. Same with all kinds of Russian and British authors. So, yeah, I know. This bashing of religion and freedom of speech is just, it's insulting. And I don't appreciate it. I don't care what religious views are. I don't care what your political views are, but to bash these people just for thinking a certain way, it's insulting. Anyway, thank you guys. Thanks, LitDev, for popping in. We'll always appreciate your commentary. That was great.
No problem.
And, well, Dunn, I mean, this is why we're here. So I don't know if I should thank you.
I think that kind of the chat hates me for introducing this Smudcast to Maggie Mayfish.
You get used to the crazy after about 30 minutes. You're like, okay, this is what she's doing. But then it just keeps getting crazy and more crazy in just different ways. So it's just not as powerful, but it's still nuts. So